As the story grows, I'm Brian Patton. Today we welcome Doyle Martin and Tim Remis from Cloakroom to the podcast. Cloakroom will release Last Leg of the Human Table on February 28th with Closed Casket Activities. The guys and I spent some time just hanging out before the guys dive into the origins of the band. They talk about lineup changes, the themes on the new record, and more. This was a wild and fun conversation, and I really hope you guys enjoy it. And make sure you give Cloakroom's discography a spin and check out The Last Leg of the Human Table when it drops. I have not gotten to listen to the whole record yet, and I'm so stoked to check it out at the end of the month. Thanks so much for listening to As the Story Grows. If you're brand new to the podcast, welcome. Thanks for checking us out. You can find links in the show notes to our mailing list, to our Discord server, or you can support the show financially and get early access to every episode over on Patreon. Enjoy today's conversation with Doyle and Tim from Cloakroom.
Well, I mean, it was prompted by essentially my bandmates. Hey, Doyle.
Hey, what did we prompt?
What?
What did we prompt? Hi, Brian.
Hi.
I was just telling him about your guys when you guys intervened on behalf of my sleep health.
Oh yeah, it had to happen.
Yeah. So Doyle, Bobby, and my oldest son, Bishop, they one morning after we were on tour, I think it was after we were in Texas somewhere, and they kind of like we're eating breakfast, and they're like, my son's like, Dad, you died in your sleep like 8 or 9 times last night. We had the stopwatch out where you would like go for like minutes at a time without breathing, and then totally like do the catch your breath inhale thing.
Jeez.
So I was like, oh, that sucks. And then when I finally did go see like a sleep doctor, he was like laughing and crying when he showed my results. He was like, you're not. He's like, you're not sleeping. And then he like kind of started like, you're not sleeping. And it like shifted from this like thing where we were kind of joking around, and then he was like really, really concerned. And I'm like, oh shit, this is a real thing.
Man. So
now I just now I have a robot that breathes for me, and I bring it on tour. The guys put all kinds of weird things in the humidifier, like the odd gravy or yogurt.
Campbell's.
We put a lot of Campbell's mushroom soup into it. That's good. It's a good gurgle.
Crushed red pepper.
Yeah.
I like when other people have the machine that we meet on tour.
Yeah. We can't really talk about who those people are because of like HIPAA.
Yeah.
So I'm just kidding. We all signed non-disclosure agreements. But
it's the Hippocratic Oath. We take it as musicians.
But it's I'll see guys carrying because they all come in the same like briefcase. So when you see another guy like at the airport, because the TSA and the airlines like let you bring them on as an additional carry-on. And so you do see the guys that have them, and it's kind of like this little like, yo, what's up, dude? Like a little, we're in the club together. You give each other the nod, the fat guy, short neck, can't snoring sleeper nod, like.
Oh man.
So that's what this is about. That's what this whole podcast is about, right?
I like the camaraderie of the sleep apnea drummers.
Sleep apnea drummers. Yeah, what's with fat drummers? It makes no sense. It doesn't make sense. You know what? I did figure it out though, Brian. It's that we burn more calories at the worst time of the night.
Right.
That we require more calories later at night. Right when you go to sleep. That's when the hungry is. And I think that might be That's the theory I'm working on for fat drummer syndrome.
I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, from an experiential place that I'm coming from, it makes sense to me.
Having only worked with fat drummers, Doyle, what do you
Man.
I have a type. The camaraderie of sleep apnea and drumming.
Yeah.
I was telling Brian before you got on, Doyle, I'm catching up on medical stuff because, of having been like a shitty drug addict rock and roller for, the better part of the last 28 years.
Yep.
Kind of starting to catch up with me. So in the last couple of years, I've obviously been trying to take care of myself, but I just had blood drawn today.
You did?
Yeah. And this great gentleman named Damien was my phlebotomist.
Cool.
And I made him blush.
Yeah.
Because I was like, Damien, no one's ever got a vein on the first try. Like, I've got to come back. I got to ask for you every time. And he's like, oh, sweetie, you're going to make me blush. Like,
I bet you say that to all the phlebotomists.
Yeah. He's like, you know how to talk to a phlebotomist, baby. But anyway, so if you're over at Loyola Gottlieb Medical Center over there in Melrose Park, and you want a really good blood guy, ask for Damien. He's the best. I'm not going to give the last name, but
I'm scared of getting my blood drawn.
And he checked every port. He checked every port of entry to find that, and he ended up stabbing the tail of the koi fish on my left arm.
Oh,
the last time someone did that, they literally probably they were treating me like a fucking pincushion. I swear it was like 4 or 5 different points of entry. And Damien got it first crack. I was like, "Damn, dude, that was incredible."
Nice.
I don't even mind this. It was so, true artist, true craftsman.
Nice.
Yeah.
Last year, I got my COVID booster and flu shot at the same time. And when the nurse went to do the flu shot, I don't know what she hit, but just spurted blood everywhere. I was just like, well, that's not supposed to happen.
Not in your upper shoulder.
No. I'm just like, I know I have tattoos, but come on, like that.
Yeah. It is interesting how leery I am of needles, even though I am covered in tattoos. I find that I sit there and I'm like, God, I'm so stupid. Like, why do I hate this? Why am I scared of this? I'm covered in tattoos. Why would this bother me? But
it's the depth. It's the depth that they go.
Yeah.
Scary.
It's kind of weird. They kind of have to wiggle it around sometimes too to like.
I asked my COVID nurse at the fairgrounds, "Is like, do you have any child-sized needles? Give me like coward size."
It'd be awesome if there's a drawer. She's got like the whole thing, and there's a drawer that says just coward with that little like laminate thing. Like the what do you call those things? It's coward. Rhino guys with like rhino skin. They're always like working outside all the time.
Oh, yeah.
So they've just like baked their flesh. Florida construction worker skin could be one of the drawers.
You need that needle. Yeah, that's specific.
Yeah, indoor gaming guy needle is just like the tiniest, like, just basically like piercing saran wrap.
Yeah.
It's
Do you have any of those like white guy guitarist needles?
Yeah, guys that wake up late in the afternoon, don't go out in the sun much.
Yeah, totally.
That's not Doyle. I'm not trying. Doyle wakes up early and chops wood in his cabin, so I shouldn't say that.
I mean, winter's almost over, but I did chop some wood, and I sold a walnut tree to this guy.
Wow.
I know.
What do you mean? I didn't know walnuts grew up here.
Well, I got a bunch of walnut trees.
Holy
That's why I let one go.
Damn.
But at the abandoned house,
let one go.
I let one go. The abandoned house next to our house is, I guess this guy was cutting down trees, and he saw me outside and was like, "Hey, can I buy one of these trees off you?" I was like, "I don't think that's on my property." And it was this big to do. I had to call the other neighbor, and like we had to look at like property lines. And he said that it was mine. He's like, "That's nice and neighborly of you, but yeah, wood is expensive as hell." And this guy, like, he takes him to some Amish guy in Indiana, and they make furniture out of it. So.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Wow.
Like, I don't want you to, level the whole field out here, but yeah, you can have one if all your gear is out here right now.
Yeah. Nice.
It's like, what size chainsaw is that? You got a 24-inch chain on there?
So drinks on you tonight is what you're saying.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, I sold a walnut tree.
All right.
Nice.
Cool.
Do we even need to talk about music? There's so much interesting shit going on, right?
Oh, yeah.
Here's something that I was gonna actually call Doyle about today, so I'll just tell you now.
Oh, this is good.
So the other day, Becca, this is my lovely girlfriend. She comes into the room. I'm sleeping. She comes into our bedroom, and she's like, "What did you have in that metal cup next to the sink?"
Yep.
And I was like half asleep, and I realized that I had. You know when you get like one of those stir fry packets or something that comes with a frozen packet of sauce?
Yeah, okay, sure.
And you can just kind of put hot water in a bowl or a cup or whatever and just plunk it in there, and it's usually will be fine.
Yeah.
You don't have to microwave it necessarily. I think they even instruct you to do it that way, right? So I had plunked this little thing of sauce, like whatever, Szechuan, vegetable stir fry sauce into this little metal cup that's normally like a drinking cup. And so then when I made the dish, I didn't throw that water away. But so she just picked up a glass of water that was next to the sink and drank it. Found it to be kind of like not terrible tasting, but she noticed that it wasn't just like pure water, but wasn't like, oh, this is like, it wasn't like it had like olive oil in it, or it wasn't like it had soup or coffee. Like it just had this like slightly off freezery weird taste, right? And I'm like, babe, why are you just drinking random cups of water from next to the sink? Like, because one has to think that this is the first time this is like bit her in the ass. But like, how many times how regularly is she just grabbing random glasses of fluids next to the sink?
Yeah,
and drinking them, and now it like finally catches up to her, and she's like, oh, I just drank this random glass of water that I couldn't identify the flavor.
Yeah.
Who knows? Maybe it's happened before, but she knew what the flavor was. She was like, "Oh, that's disgusting. That had something in it, and I shouldn't do that." But she's still doing, like that had. I don't know. It's just something that like it's been in my mind a lot lately.
I do wonder how many other times she's done this.
So what if she's been doing this all along, like the whole time?
Water's tasted good up to this point.
And I get like conserving water. I'm all about that. But
I like it.
To what end? I mean, I don't.
I feel like you do the same thing.
You take the cup and you pour it like in a potted plant that you have. That's what you do to save water. Or like, I remember doing like driving on the driving the bus for various bands, and when people didn't know whose bottle of water it was, they would just like use it to make coffee or something, because then at least you're heating it up and it's killing germs and kind of whatever. But like, it's just crazy to me to grab a random cup of water from next to a sink and just drink out of it. Like, but like, I don't know.
It's close to there. If it wasn't close to there, you remember Mel Gibson's Signs?
Yeah.
The little girl that just leaves all the water all over the house. It's like her thing.
Yeah.
Just too dusty.
But why was she doing that? Was she saving water for when there wasn't water?
Well, it was kind of like a fated thing. It was like a predetermined thing because the aliens were allergic to water.
Oh.
And Joaquin Phoenix, he takes his Louisville Slugger and smashes all of them, and it like gets on the alien and it melts their skin and yeah.
Because I thought it maybe was. I think I might have missed that. I thought it was like this thing where it was like preparation for disaster. Like I was reading too into it. Like when there's like, oh, there's a disaster, you fill your bathtub with water, right?
Oh,
fill up as much water.
Yeah.
Like, why do you do that though?
Why do you do what?
Why do you fill the bathtub with water?
So you can flush your toilet, or if you need water for anything, right? When power goes out.
Yeah, it's the biggest place where you can store water in your house.
Yep.
You can put your coffee mug in there and just take it.
Just
something tastes off.
Ladle it out.
I didn't know that. Oh, that is smart. I've never thought about that.
So I think that's what I thought. I thought that's what she was doing.
Yeah.
Like had like a precognition of like a pending thing that was happening.
She's like 7 years old.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Well, that's all I have. That's the only thing that's been on my mind.
I feel like you do the same thing with the mug that I do, and I've learned this. It's learned behavior from hanging out with you. That you had a conversation about washing a coffee mug once with someone, and you were like, "Don't wash the coffee mug. I keep the coffee mug here because it's like a seasoned mug. Like, what else is going in it? You know, like I don't need a new coffee mug every day."
Right. Totally.
Do you, Brian? I mean, how many times you use that puppy?
I mean, this is tea now, but it was my coffee mug from earlier today. I just dropped the tea bag in there and put the water in.
Yeah, the thinking is you don't have to like wash a coffee mug with soap unless you're putting a lot of like sugar and cream in it. If it's just coffee, it's acidic. It's basically cleaning itself. And like any sponge, you don't want a sponge smell with your coffee, or you don't want like residual soap or something like that. So yeah, I mean, certain things you just don't want to really like. You just kind of rinse it out, you know? Right?
Sure. Yeah.
Just keep it going. Just keep the party going.
Sometimes I'll do a rinse, and then I won't be super hungry. I'll be a little hungry, and I'll throw some cereal in there.
Oh, God, that's great.
Isn't that great?
That is great.
Give it a little.
I do love a late night little cup of cereal, you know, because it's like
it's awesome.
I have a tendency to go big with cereal. Like I use these big like Asian like ramen bowls, and I'm like, no one needs that much cereal, but it's a good regulator to just use a coffee.
But if you eat like cereal for breakfast, you're just hungry as soon as you're done, right? It doesn't go anywhere, which is why it's only good at night.
Right. Yeah, I mean, I definitely and I pick the worst cereals for that. Like, man, cornflakes, like Frosted Flakes. Are you kidding me? You get hungrier while you eat them. You know, it's insane.
Corn syrup.
Yeah.
All right, one music question, and then we're done.
I don't even know where to start. This has just been a free flowing, like we're all just friends hanging out, right? Like,
yeah. We
should be at a bar. But Doyle, let's start with Cloakroom. How'd this project get started?
I don't know. I've always wanted to play music like this, or I don't even know what it was supposed to sound like when we first started this project, me and Bobby and our previous drummer. But I've always played music, and just stay in bands, keep doing what you do, and eventually you'll maybe be proficient at it, or at least build upon your previous experiences. So this is just another project that I would continue to do, and I mean, I love the people that I do it with, so it's stuck around for a longer time than some of my other previous endeavors.
Yeah.
Bobby and I went to go see Codeine a long time ago. We're like, wow, this band is insane. Like, maybe we should. There are three people. I like that this, like big sound is coming from three people. I liked having it a three-piece. And now, the thing evolves. Play with different musicians. Remis, saw us from our inception and thought that we sounded like a band that was good, and entertained the idea of doing some fill-in shows for us. And then we wrote some songs together, and now this is what it is. Our previous tour that we just did with Full of Hell and Better Lovers and everybody, we brought our and the homie Spy, shout out to Spy, and Gougeway, shout out to Gougeway. They finished that tour with us. We brought another guitarist, Cam, who is our like touring guitarist, new Cloak member. He's a funny guy. So I don't know. It's just a growing thing. I don't think Cloakroom ever sounds the same. I don't think, it should.
Real quick, a little sidebar. Just the story behind Cam.
Oh yeah, give it to us.
You being involved. So this was touted to me as, first of all, it was going to be a percussionist that was joining the band.
Yeah, little arms. Good guy though.
Secondly, it was supposed to be a guy that was fatter and balder than me, and that was supposed to like add some balance, I guess, to the band for photos, just general like morale, you know. And then he was also supposed to be older. That was the other thing. I think he was supposed to be like, they had said he was 49, super fat, bald, and a percussionist, and he was none of those things. But he
literally none of those things.
He's like none of those things. He's like the youngest, handsomest guitar player. He's like none of the things that I was told he was to be. So not only does this band is this band constantly evolving and changing, you just don't even, it's all just like a mystery. It's all just like conjecture, like things you think might be happening with it aren't ever actually happening, and a whole new thing happens. So
there's a whole lot of conjecture. That is a good name. That is a good thing, a blanket umbrella term to throw over our band.
Conjecture.
Yeah.
It is true. I saw the first show in Doyle's living room, which was which I think was formerly like a garage that somehow got turned into like this crazy open space. And then Doyle,
all seasons room.
It was an all seasons room. And I think I watched Cloakroom through like a window. Yeah, I had no idea what it was. I don't know if like Sweet Cobra was playing, my other band.
Yes, you were.
But I think
it was Caramellos, Sweet Cobra, and us.
Yeah. And I think I was talking to Jose outside.
Okay.
For some reason, and then I heard you guys, and I'm like, oh, I have to, like, I don't think it was in my mind yet that I had to watch it, but like I heard it, and I was like, I can't talk to you anymore. I have to watch this. I think this is like my favorite thing.
Oh, that's great. That's flattering.
So like this story kind of came up a while ago in an interview Bobby and I had done, and I'm like putting some of the pieces together. Now, adding Jose to that as a character in that story is very interesting, at least for me, and probably also for Doyle, but for maybe no one else.
It is interesting.
But yeah, watching you guys on the side of the like that one of those side windows. Is that even possible? Was there a window there, or am I just?
Yeah, there's big windows. They're huge.
Yeah. So yeah, almost like watching it like as if it was like through a screen or something, on a screen. I don't know, but it's great band.
Yeah, I actually interviewed Jason when Threes came out. So there's a full circle moment there. So
whoa,
yeah. So
Jason was there.
He probably was a little more on task.
It's interesting, like listening back to the discography of the band, like today and the last few days, and just like how the only constant is like Big Wall of Fuzz, and then it's like everything else is kind of evolving around it. Like, and it makes for an interesting listen because like, it's ever changing, and you never know what you're going to get with a Cloakroom release, which is fun.
Yeah.
Tim, how'd you end up joining the band? And kind of you come to the band 2019. How disappointed are you joining a band and then like COVID happens and everything is fucked?
Yeah. I mean, everyone has the story of like pre-COVID. Like that year for me was a really rough year, like emotionally, but a good year in that I was for the most part making my living as only a musician. So like I was playing music in this like musical, a theater musical production in Chicago. I was playing, gigs with Cloakroom. I was just doing working a lot as a musician. And then, the rug got pulled out from all of us, out from under all of us at, whatever that, I guess it was like February of 20. But yeah, it was crazy because I think we finished that record up right before that, I guess. Is that correct?
No, yeah, it was right before. I mean, we went into the studio in December, right?
Yeah, so I was basically out with you guys for like 2 tours leading up to that, and it was like, you know, I was having a great time with them playing and just like being on the road, and like I think we clicked as humans. We already knew that we did. We were already like friends, but you know, I was like really drawn to them because they were just too salt of the earth, kind of like modest, you know, chill Midwestern boys, like good, polite boys. You know, they're 10 years younger than me, but I was like, man, these guys are both extremely talented dudes that need someone maybe to step in and champion this stuff that they're doing. Because as great of a drummer as Brian was, he seemed a little detached and a little less willing to like for some of the grind.
Suffer.
He was less into the suffering part of being a working musician.
Yeah.
And
it sucks. So
no, I mean it does. It is an interesting thing because, you know, like being on the road, for better or worse, it's just mandatory. I mean, if you've decided that you want people to hear this inside joke that you've created in a studio with your best friends, if you want people to notice it and you feel confident enough to like put it out into the world, there's no level of fame that allows you to not put some work in to promote it, you know, to like play the gigs. And like for me, the gig is the thing. The show is the gig is the gig. Like that's what I want to do. The process of the work is as important or more important to me than the final thing and for people to hear it. But like, you know, just for whatever reason, I was more willing to do that and excited to do that for these guys because I was like, man, yeah, these guys should be like just doing this. Should be their thing. This should be their job. These songs, people need to hear these fucking songs. We got to spread this gospel or whatever. And so like I was, you know, a willing help for them to do that, you know. And then I think we started, you know, we had a good rhythm and vibe writing together, working together in a writing capacity. So, you know, the record that came directly after us getting together like that was pretty good.
Yeah, we definitely wrote a lot of that stuff in the studio with Remis.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he is my older brother musician. You know, I would see him when my mom would drop me off at Remis's shows in Indiana, and I was like 15, you know, and there's broken glass and Remis like with no shirt on, like underneath their merch table. I remember this, there was broken glass on the floor, and then he was laying under the merch table at one of the Killer shows, and there was like a pool of sweat, like a snow angel.
That is not. Yeah, see, that's what we were talking about earlier. That's why I'm having to do all this stuff go to the doctor now.
Yeah.
Living like that. Like that wasn't like the end of it. You know, that's just another day on the calendar for me.
Right.
Broken glass, just living in broken glass.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah. This new record is your first one with Closed Casket Activities. How'd you end up moving from Relapse into Closed Casket?
Justin bought us dumplings in Kingston, New York. Remember that?
Yeah, those are good. That place was
so good. And he's just a friend, you know. He runs a really tight ship. I think he just got another employee now, so I think there's 3 people that work there. He's just, you know, he answers my texts, and he's a funny guy. And I think I just saw the success that he generated with that Full of Hell and Nothing collaboration.
Yeah.
And so we talked about, you know, in the years to come that he'd want to release a Cloakroom record. And yeah, good guy.
Yeah, I mean, musicians are incredibly vain. It's really nice when someone's like excited. You know, we're like, yeah. You like us? Really?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah. Awesome. You know, and he made the effort to be like, you know, I like you. I like your band. Like, I'm going to come. Like, I mean, really, I'm going to come to Kingston and buy you dumplings, and then tell you sincerely, face to face, that I care enough about your band that I put some time and money into sharing it with the world. And that means, you know, it's like we can't say no to that.
Can't say no to that.
Dude's awesome, and it's awesome to know that that someone cares, that someone is like a fan of it, you know. And if you get that feeling when you're working with him, you're like, yeah, this dude actually is really like on our side. Like he is really a champion of the stuff we're doing and our craft and helping us get it into the right ears. So
I
sweet dude.
Yeah, I saw the announcement of you guys signing with Closed Casket. It was like, oh shit. And then you release Unbelonging, and it's like, okay, well, that's not what I expected.
Cool.
Not that it's a bad song. Like, I think the singles so far have been incredible. But what was that process like of writing and recording? And like, there seems to be a different approach, at least through the singles you've released so far.
Just like we touched upon earlier, you know, we're always in flux. We're always changing. And I think that was why I like the bands that I like growing up too, is like, you know, they put out something that's completely different or, you know, at least, you know, just trying something new. You know, I just appreciate exploration.
Yeah. I think for me, a lot of it is like just letting the song and the moment dictate what it wants and what it needs instead of trying to force too many ideas onto it. You know, for me, like as a drummer with a lot of these songs on the new thing, that's what I was doing. I was just like, all right, what is this song asking me to do? Like, what is it? And just trying to open yourself up to exploring that kind of stuff. Not to sound too like whatever pretentious, but it's like, yeah, you got to like open up to it, because like if you're, you know, you don't want to let your like ego or I don't want to be like, well, I'd be afraid to play this part because I want it to seem like I'm a better drummer than this part needs or something like that. There's something about like just kind of like letting the song, you know, push its way more into like the pop world or you know, something, and not being afraid to like let it find its place and let it find its legs. And I think we're pretty good at that. I think we're not trying to like, you know, we go in without like a huge agenda, and, you know, we kind of let the concept and the song kind of dictate the terms, so to speak, without trying to put too much. Yeah. Like, I don't know how else to put it. Maybe ego, I guess, the thing, or just like preconceived like idea of what we are and what we sound like. And, you know, you kind of got to like let happen what's going on in your life and what's going on in your mind creatively, and what you think is cool at that moment musically and blah, blah, blah. You gotta let that seep in. You gotta let there be like a enough space in your mind to like let that flourish and bloom, if you will. Doyle, what do you think? Do you approve of what I just said?
Oh yeah, I think that's words of wisdom from Remis.
Okay.
Yeah, if you don't put your own life in your music, you know, it's not gonna sound genuine.
Yeah, for sure. Album's called Last Leg of the Human Table. Where'd that title come from, and kind of how does that reflect maybe some of the lyrics and influence on the writing on this album?
It feels like society has become less human, and even me myself, you know, I'm becoming less in touch with my own humanity and that of my others. And you know, there needs to be some finality, I guess. But I was telling Bobby with this other interviewer guy, is like, we also have used Remis's son a lot in the artwork and whatnot. And when I was trying to tie that all in, I was like, why am I doing this? And I feel like you find all these subconscious things that you're doing when you take a look at like an album cycle or album art or whatnot, and it kind of all comes together. Repeated words and lyrics and stuff. But I was like, maybe Holden is the last little hope. You know, he's like our last little generation that's gonna save us, hopefully.
Well, who came up with the concept for the album art?
I guess I talked to Bobby about it a lot too, but like the little wingdings or the web little wingding stuff, our friend Bill Connors came up with a lot of those, and we wanted to just do it because there's like 8 individual thoughts of music, and I think each one of those little wingdings kind of applies to the the songs, visually at least. And then there's those two interludes that kind of tie in together that don't have their own little wing ding, web ding. But I don't know. We also liked the title so much that we just didn't think that we needed to make like a really provocative album cover either.
Yeah. It is weird. Today I listened to Bad Larry, and I think it was the first time I've listened to it in months without it being attached to like a video.
Oh shit, yeah.
And so and that was like a really, because I don't listen to our stuff too often, but I guess like I'd probably shown the video to a couple people when it first dropped, and you know, I had watched it while we were still editing it or whatever, and then I listened to it just in the car today, and it was so funny to like have to just hear it without there being any like visual representation attached to it.
Yeah.
And not that necessarily like fully relates to anything we're talking about. But just
an antidote.
But just that there is so much pressure and so much like there's so much like visual stuff with any release now, right? You know, so it's like, yeah, and I'm really happy with the way it all looks, and Doyle definitely like was the catalyst for most of that. The ideas and the images, and I always just pictured, like, I think I drew a thing early on when you come up with the title, and I just picture this like, you know, just crazy things stacked on top of each other that are just like just about to topple, that make no sense, that have no sense in like in how they would stay a tower or a leg or whatever it is. And I think like those the little wingdings, like you say, like cover that, like have that, represent that in my mind as they're attached to the music. So it is good imagery. I love the bird, man. The bird in the cage.
Mm-hmm.
Little bird, little cage, little Saturn.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I'd wear the shirt.
I'd wear the shirt. I want one. Apparently we sold a few. Justin said that we sold a few shirts.
Nice.
Ooh.
Did you see the one that we used for the Big Muff little logo?
No. Oh, you asking me?
Yeah.
Brian, did you see it? Because I didn't.
No.
We used the little, like, that dove star for the Big Muff that's on the back of it. I used that a couple of times for the artwork, and I tried to find anything about it, and you can't find anything about it online. It's like the head of a dove, but then the rest of its body is a star. And it's, you know, like from whatever like collaboration they did with Russia with electroharmonics. And I don't know if it was like the insignia for a tube. I don't think that it is, but I wanted to give somebody credit where it was due because I'm just ripping it now. But there's literally no information on the dove turning into the star, or vice versa. It's a star turning into a dove.
Album's out end of the month. You have one show scheduled. What's the rest of this year look like?
We were announcing a tour when we put out a new single on the 6th, I think.
Okay.
Where are you at, Brian?
DC.
Okay. I think we're going there.
I hope so.
I think we're going there. Yeah.
Cool.
Remis, I got to send you those dates. I don't know if you saw, but Bobby just texted us.
I haven't seen anything.
Bobby just texted us.
Funny, like,
hey, FYI, we're going on tour. So,
well, it's funny because like I jumped on with an interview last week sometime, and they had talked about these problems I had getting into Canada from some legal issues. That it's nothing. Okay, it's not. I just want to be clear. They keep trying to, like, they're on stage in Canada saying, you know, I'm a violent criminal. That's not.
We didn't say that.
Anyway, and then they're like, yeah, I catch wind that we're going to Toronto. I'm like, damn, I got to get that paperwork figured out. But I am looking forward to going to that Bangladeshi restaurant again.
Oh man,
that was one of the best meals we had on that last tour. So I'm just looking forward to that yogurt mango stuff.
Yeah.
Whatever that drink was, that thing was really good. What do you got good to eat there in DC?
I mean, lots of stuff, lots of great Ethiopian food.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah. So that's what you got to eat in DC, Ethiopian food. So
you got any rat problems? You remember the last time that we were there, Remis? Like the house we stayed at was beautiful, but they were like, it was an amazing neighborhood, but they were like, yeah, you got to like kick like around all the cars because there's all these rats.
Yeah.
I've not encountered that. I don't know. I just remember I was walking into the NPR building one day and there was a rat like in the trash can, and I looked over and I was like, it looked like a house cat, and you're just like, oh yeah. Shit, that's a rat. And it's just a massive thing. It was,
dude,
not great.
Wow.
I remember one time going to a show at the Fireside, and this would have been when I was like, 20 or something, and there was these two rats on someone's stoop fucking. They were both they were like literally the size of small house cats. And I was not far from them when I kind of came up on and one just like locked eyes with me, and it did not stop. Like it was a wild. I mean, dude, again, this is 25 years ago, and I'm still like I can picture it so vividly, you know, and just remember that the look on that fucking rat's face. He wasn't going to stop. Like there's nothing that could have stopped him. Like there's no shame, no fear, no nothing. It was wild.
Because you weren't gonna mess with them.
No, I crossed the street. I went as far away as possible, and he probably knew that. But just the confidence, it was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Well, I'll be honest. Well, anything else you want to say about the album or the band or rat stories before I let you go?
I just thought it was a commonism that everybody knows that there's a lot of rats in DC.
I mean, there are a lot of rats in DC.
Okay,
I didn't know that. No, we stay with my niece when we go there, and she lives in a pretty nice neighborhood.
Yeah, she painted this picture that it was like an infestation.
Yeah.
It definitely depends where in the city you are, for sure. Yeah, that's so. Yeah. Also, that wasn't like an attempt at like a political joke about DC.
No, it wasn't. Just not talking about the mammal, the rodent.
The mammal. We're talking about the actual rodent.
Rodent, a rat.
Little things are easy to do.